In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Remnant Stormtrooper based upon his appearance from the Mandalorian for the Vintage Collection. I think he was VC-165, if I recall correctly. And this was the first troop builder that we actually got from the Mandalorian. So I ended up picking up a few over time. The 5 you see here are the 5 I have. One of them is the carbonized action figure, which I will kind of do an individual video for him at some point in the future, featuring the other figures in his wave. So for today, we'll be emphasizing more on the standard release. But 2 of them I got from Tungori back in 2019, and it's specifically these 2 back here. And I can tell because the E11 that was included with them is a little bit different from the one that was included with the actual carded variant. And then these 2 I ended up getting in the same year, but I think several months later. I paid like retail price for them. But the Tungori variants, I actually paid like $20 for each of those. And this was during the time where the Min-Man Stormtrooper was kind of in question. I talked about that story in the individual video for those guys, which I would recommend checking out. So I thought that probably the Remnant Stormtrooper is going to end up being the same story. And of course, these Stormtroopers were high in demand at the time because I think this was either the second or the third variant that we got of this particular Stormtrooper tooling. The first being the Min-Man Stormtrooper, and then I think shortly after we got the standard Rogue One Stormtrooper here, and then I think we got these guys. So I went ahead and jumped on them right away, thinking that all these guys are probably going to be extremely hard to find, so I should probably go ahead and get 2 now. But fast forward to today even, and the Stormtroopers are actually not that hard to get a hold of. You can find a brand new one even for like $13.99 on a site like Amazon. Perhaps the supply for them ended up being more plentiful than originally thought. Maybe Hasbro has exceeded the demand for them. Not sure, but if this is a Stormtrooper you don't have in your collection up to this point, and you're a huge fan of Stormtroopers and you want various variants of them, definitely a good time to buy them at the time of this video, that is. So there's really not a whole lot more I can say about this Stormtrooper than from the various other ones I've talked about before with this tooling. Pretty much the same exact thing, just with some weathering applied to them. And I guess if there's one unfortunate thing I can say about this action figure is that the weathering is the exact same among all the Remnant Stormtroopers. You can just tell from the 4 samples I have here that it's all applied exactly the same. Of course, there's going to be minor variances in how it's applied, but it's all in the same spots, same patterns, pretty much same everything. And I wish that Hasbro did some variety with them. But it's really not the end of the world. I still appreciate these action figures, and I have featured them quite heavily on the channel up until now for various dioramas and setups and things like that. I have these guys with my Sandtroopers usually. Kind of treat them as like a Sandtrooper without the all the gear attached. This guy here is utilizing the helmet from the deluxe Boba Fett from the Mandalorian. And the 2 helmets that were included with that Boba Fett, I think, were geared to be used for the Remnant Stormtrooper here, so ended up swapping out one of the heads. It's a shame that the paint apps weren't better. You can see that the eye there is kind of drooping. And I think I wouldn't say he has a draft neck, but the head definitely sits a little bit higher than the head he actually comes with has. You can see the difference in the length of the neck there. But it's nice to have that variation. And of course, here's the original helmet here. You just see the difference in the paint apps there. And here he is compared to the carbonized figure here. Weathering's actually a little bit different for the carbonized figure, I think. See, there's definitely some more significant variances there. Very interesting. But the differences between the Tungori variants I got, which are these two here, as I mentioned, are in the E11. You see he doesn't have the flashlight or the scope on the side there of the rifle. While the two brand new carded ones that I ended up getting months later, they do have that. Which I kind of appreciate. It's just a way to distinguish, oh, which ones were my carded figures that I got, and then which ones were the Tungori ones. And I think this carbonized one I got from Tungori as well, but as you can see, he does have the scope on the side of the rifle there. I'll show this one. He is super articulated. I've talked about this articulation many times before. Nothing much more I can say about it. It says before the rocker ankles. So he has the beveled end here. And then he does accommodate a stand a whole lot better than the ones with the rocker ankles do. And as you can see, the weathering's not really applied a whole lot on the back of the figure at all, which is pretty common, or a pretty common thing for Hasbro to do. Oftentimes they weather the front, but then you don't really see much on the back. But they didn't do it for the Memban Stormtrooper. That action figure is weathered all around. I would like to get the Black Series action figure of this guy as well, but that one was really hard to track down. Even today it still is. I didn't mention in the Memban video, but I used to have the Black Series action figure of that one. But I ended up selling it because I thought I didn't really see a specific purpose at the time for the Memban Stormtrooper, but I kind of wish I didn't do that, but I'll track one down again at some point. His accessories, he just has the E11 and that's all. Nothing too fancy. I do kind of wish, you notice all these action figures here, the top of the head is much more shiny white, while all the weathering is applied below the brow there, mostly. Wish they weathered the top of his head a little bit more. And then for the alternative helmets, saw this one here. Just show you how easy it is to swap them out. Yeah, the paint apps definitely harm the aesthetic, I think. And plus the helmet's way too shiny compared to the rest of the action figures, so it definitely looks off. I appreciate the thought from Hasbro, but needed to be applied a little bit better, I think. Of course, I could always weather it up myself. I think that's most of what I can tell you about the Remnant Stormtrooper. There's really not a whole lot more I can say. You do have the silver detailing on the side of the E11. Yeah, they all have that. It's not something they do every time. No holster. Bring out one of the Min-Man troopers here closer. And then the Rogue One Stormtrooper. So would I recommend this guy for your collection? I would, if you're a huge fan of Stormtroopers and you want some more weathered Stormtroopers, anything of that sort. I appreciate the 5 that I have here. I certainly would not mind getting more down the road, and like I said, on sites like eBay and Amazon, they're typically not too expensive still to this day. But yeah, it's just another great Stormtrooper to have. Just wish the weathering was a little bit applied a little bit differently, but you know, it really hasn't been that big of a problem for me over the years, but I know it would be for some people. But it's just a great Stormtrooper overall. Wouldn't mind seeing a re-release of him. Maybe just a little bit of a variant. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate a troop builder set of this. And yeah, it's always nice to get more Stormtroopers. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for playing more in the future. There's always more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support, and check out the links in the description if you haven't done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.